Carly Fiorina is running for the Senate. She's a Republican, and she is here now. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me,
Glenn. Absolutely. Okay, I'm skeptical of every single politician I meet. Every single one of them.
I am too.
Are you?
And I'm not one.
Yeah, well, you're not yet. But have you, I mean, can you tell me, first of all, how do you go to Washington and not lose your soul?
Well, I think that's a really important question. And I think you go to Washington and not lose your soul by staying in touch with the people who sent you there. But, you know, I've never run for public office before. And our founding fathers intended ours to be a citizen government by, for, and of the people. Our founding fathers were business people and farmers. And they went to Washington and they left after a while with great relief. And I'm sure if I'm lucky enough to be sent to Washington, I don't want to stay there forever. But things are too dire now. Citizens have to get involved. And as you pointed out, so goes California, so goes the nation, because I see policies being pursued in the nation's capital that are the same policies that got this state into deep trouble.
This state, could you have run Hewlett-Packard from here? Could you have started Hewlett-Packard here?
Well, I did run it for 6 years here in California, and they made it very difficult.
Could you do it
Could you start it? No. Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard could not start Hewlett-Packard today in California. I started out as a receptionist in a little company called Marcus & Millichap here in California, 9 people. I typed and filed and answered the phones. That company couldn't be started today.
I talked to you off the air that I looked at California. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest. I love California.
Why, we all love California.
Yeah, but I love California. But I mean, I looked at starting, putting my business here. There's no way. There's no way. I'm in Manhattan. I can't do business here, because at least occasionally in Manhattan, you'll have somebody that says, hey, by the way, we don't want to suck the blood out of business.
Well, and it's not just the policies here in California. There are also policies that come from Washington. So, for example, this morning I was with a group of business people, a family-owned business. They immigrated, the grandfather immigrated from Italy many years ago. The government, because of the Endangered Species Act, something the Senate oversees, because of the Endangered Species Act, 30 acres of their land was confiscated by the federal government, and they have to pay taxes on. Why? Because we're trying to protect a fly. That's insane.
So, how do you stop this?
Well, I think we have to stop it with 2 very simple but profound things. First, no more money, government, no new taxes on anything. That's why I signed the Taxpayer Protection Pledge. But, if your teenager has a spending problem, what do? You cut off the money.
But let me show I'm sorry to get you into the shot. Don't worry about it. It's a 5 o'clock show. Just in case. I'm just showing. They show the chalkboard here. I mean, look at this. They'll say, everybody will tell you. Wall Street Journal just, I think, came out. I think it was today. Oh, you got to spend money. You got to have it.
That's why I
got to raise taxes, they say.
Wrong. Because what happens every time we raise taxes, then people in Sacramento or in Washington say, oh, phew, we can put off the discipline and the tough choices necessary to actually cut spending. So first, no new taxes. Secondly, we have to return to the people who create the American dream, innovators, entrepreneurs, small business owners, the ability to actually run their businesses, and we're killing that today. And third, we actually have to cut spending. Cut it. Not freeze it.
What are you going to cut?
Well, let's start with the fact that in President Obama's budget, federal government employees are growing by 14.5%. Those are more bureaucrats to do more things. Let's start with the fact that there are many bipartisan estimates that suggest that there's $500 billion worth of waste in the federal budget today. The GAO estimates that half of the purchases on government credit cards are for waste or fraudulent purposes. Lingerie, jewelry. I mean, that's our money. That's our money. Or
people at the DMV,
well, exactly.
Lingerie and
or the census ad that you just referenced. I mean, $2.5 million is real money.
Yeah, but I understand that. But here's the problem. We have. Go back and read. I just read it last night. Calvin Coolidge and his his inaugural speech. Okay, he knew what the problem was. The problem was the progressives. The problem in Washington are the progressives. The problem in California, the progressives, and the progressives in the Democrat and the Republican Party.
And
until somebody stands up and says, you know what, John McCain and Barack Obama had many of the same traits.
Well, and let's start with the most fundamental. One of the things that you have done so well and so many other citizens across this great nation have done, and they're here in California too, where voters say the number one issues is jobs and out-of-control government spending, is to give people the information. So, for example, technology can help. I'm from the technology industry. Let us put every agency budget up on the internet for every citizen to see. People would be outraged. Let us put every piece of legislation up on the internet for everyone to see before they vote on it.
People know. People know. They just don't think that anybody's going to pay attention to them.
Well, I think we've demonstrated over the last several months, you've demonstrated that when the pundits and the politicians discount the American people, do so at their own peril. You know, the old movie, I'm mad as hell and I don't want to take it anymore. That's how people feel in this state and in this nation.
I know.
People all across California who love this state are saying, you know what? We know what happens with bigger and bigger government, higher and higher taxes, and more regulation. We drive jobs away.
So you tell me, I know I have to go, but will you tell me that you're not going to be in bed with, because, I mean, here you are from California. You're not going to be in bed with the Sierra Club and the Save the Whales people. And
now, Barbara Boxer is, who's
but
the
you
opponent.
won't. You'll tell me now. You won't get into bed with all those people.
No, this is about the voters of California wanting someone in Washington who's not a career politician, who's not afraid to make tough choices or ask tough questions, and who actually knows how the real world works. I know how the real world works. It's the world I've been living in, like you, for the last 55 years in my case.
Good. All right. Thank you very much.
Great to see you.
Nice to see you.